I wasn't the jealous type. I never checked her phone, never questioned where she was going, never acted like one of those possessive boyfriends who needed to control every part of her life. I trusted her. At least I used to. Then things started changing. It wasn't the usual signs of cheating, no lipstick on a collar, no flirty texts from a guy I didn't know. But something was different. She was distant, distracted, like she was living in a world I couldn't reach. She stopped making plans with me like she used to. She'd cancel date nights last minute or come home hours later than expected, with vague explanations. At first I didn't push. Relationships go through phases. People get busy. I convinced myself not to overthink it. And maybe I would have kept believing her, kept ignoring that gnawing feeling in my gut, if it weren't for the way she reacted when she got texts late at night. One evening, we were curled up on the couch watching something mindless. Her phone sitting beside her buzzed once. She glanced at it and smiled. A small, private smile, the kind that meant something. The kind that wasn't meant for me. I felt my chest tighten. "Who's that?" She hesitated, just for a second. "Just a friend." I nodded, acting like I didn't notice the way she flipped her phone over, pressing it into the cushion so I wouldn't see if it lit up again. I didn't say anything else. I just sat there, staring at the screen, the movie forgotten, a sinking feeling washing over me. That night she told me she'd be out late, meeting up with an old friend for drinks. And for the first time, I didn't just let it go. I decided to follow her. I waited until she left, giving her a few minutes before grabbing my keys and heading out after her. My stomach churned as I drove, my hands gripping the wheel tighter than I realized. I didn't want to be doing this. I didn't want to be that guy. The paranoid boyfriend, the one who sneaks around, the one who doesn't trust his own partner. But this wasn't just suspicion anymore. This was something deeper, something undeniable. She drove across town, past the bars she usually went to, past the restaurants we used to love. When she finally pulled into a parking lot, I felt my pulse quicken. It wasn't some crowded club or a trendy spot with a rooftop view. It was a quiet, low-lit lounge, tucked away on a street that didn't get much traffic, a place where people went when they didn't want to be seen. I parked a block away and watched as she got out of the car. She smoothed down her dress, checked her phone, took a deep breath, like she was preparing herself for something. Then she walked inside. I followed a few minutes later, keeping my head down as I stepped through the door. The place was intimate, warm lighting casting soft shadows against the deep mahogany walls. The scent of expensive whiskey and old books filled the air, and the sound of low jazz played over the quiet murmur of conversation. It was the kind of place where people didn't come to get drunk. They came to be alone. I scanned the room, searching for her. Then I saw her. She was in the farthest booth, nestled in the corner like she was trying to disappear into the dim lighting. But she wasn't alone. Sitting across from her was another woman. She was striking. Dark hair, bold features, the kind of confidence that radiated without effort. And my girlfriend was looking at her with a softness I hadn't seen in a long time. My heart pounded. I had prepared myself for the worst, convinced I would catch her sneaking around with some guy. But this? This wasn't what I expected. I told myself maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe this was just a close friend and someone she hadn't told me about for whatever reason. But then the woman reached across the table and took my girlfriend's hand, and my girlfriend let her. I felt my breath catch in my throat, the way she smiled at her, the way their fingers laced together. It was familiar. It was intimate. It was the way she used to look at me. I should have walked away. I should have left before I saw more, before the reality of what was happening completely shattered me. But I couldn't. My feet felt glued to the floor, my entire body frozen as I watched them. Then, as if to erase any lingering doubt, the woman leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't just a quick peck. It was slow, lingering, filled with something deeper, something real. And the worst part? She kissed her back. My stomach twisted into knots. I felt sick. I wanted to move, to do something, but I couldn't. I just stood there watching my girlfriend melt into another woman's touch, completely oblivious to the fact that I was standing just feet away. The woman whispered something to her, making her giggle, the kind of giggle that used to be just for me. Then they stood up, her hand sliding down my girlfriend's arm, fingers brushing against her waist as they made their way toward the exit. I barely managed to slip out of sight as they passed by. My girlfriend looked happy. Not guilty, not hesitant. Happy. I clenched my jaw, my nails digging into my palms as I pulled out my phone. My fingers trembled as I snapped a picture, capturing the moment her lips hovered over the other woman's cheek, her hands resting against her hips. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a drunken slip-up. This was something real, something she had been hiding from me. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to take a deep breath. I didn't storm in. I didn't make a scene. Because if she thought she could lie to me, keep this a secret, walk around pretending nothing was wrong, then she was about to learn just how wrong she was. She thought she had control of the situation, but I wasn't going to let her walk away from this so easily. I spent the next few days acting like nothing had changed. If she could lie so easily, so flawlessly, then so could I. I kissed her goodbye in the morning, sent her texts throughout the day, and told her I loved her at night. But every time she touched me, every time she looked at me like I was still the only one in her world, I felt it. The weight of the truth. The crushing knowledge that while I was planning a future with her, she had been planning ways to keep her double life from falling apart. At first, all I wanted was revenge. To make her suffer, to expose her for what she had done, to make sure she never forgot the pain she had caused me. But something wasn't adding up. If she was in love with someone else, why was she still trying so hard to keep up this act? Why was she holding on to me while sneaking off to be with her? I needed to dig deeper. I started going through old messages, emails, anything that might give me more answers. That's when I found it. A conversation with her mother. The messages weren't long, but they said enough. Her mother had been reminding her over and over again that she was making the right choice, that she had come too far to throw everything away. Her family believed I was what she needed. A good, stable man, someone who would take care of her, someone who would give her a normal life. But then I saw something that stopped me cold. Her mother had asked if she had spoken to her yet. And hours later, Emily had finally replied, saying no, that it was over, that it had to be. The final message from her mother made my stomach turn. She reassured Emily that that life wasn't for her. She was better than that. I sat back, staring at the screen, feeling like I had just uncovered something I was never meant to see. This wasn't just about cheating. This wasn't just about betrayal. This was about a girl who had been lying to herself for years. It all made sense now. The hesitation, the distance, the way she always seemed to be playing the role of my girlfriend rather than being my girlfriend. She wasn't just cheating. She was suffocating. She was pretending. She was living the life her family expected, not the one she actually wanted. The realization hit me harder than I expected. The anger, the need for revenge, the urge to destroy her the way she had destroyed me. It all started to fade. Not completely, but enough for me to finally see the truth. She hadn't just lied to me. She had been lying to herself. And now, I had to decide what to do with that truth. I had spent days planning my revenge, crafting ways to make her feel the kind of pain she had put me through. I imagined the moment I confronted her, the way she would squirm under the weight of her own lies, the way her world would collapse just like mine had. But now, standing here looking at her, I felt none of the satisfaction I had expected. I had always thought betrayal would come with a certain kind of arrogance, sneaking around, laughing behind my back, enjoying the thrill of getting away with it. But Emily wasn't arrogant. She wasn't cocky. She was exhausted. I saw it now, clear as day. The way she carried herself, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes anymore, the way she looked at me like she was constantly on the edge of breaking apart. And I was done pretending I didn't know. That evening, when she walked into the apartment, I was waiting. She kissed me on the cheek, like always, murmuring something about her day. I barely registered it. My mind was too focused on what was about to happen. She noticed my silence almost immediately. She hesitated, setting her bag down slower than usual, glancing at me as if she could sense something was off. I told her I needed to ask her something, and for the first time since this all started, I watched real fear flicker across her face. She sat down across from me, waiting, tense, hands clasped together in her lap. I told her I knew, that I had followed her, that I had seen everything. I expected her to deny it, to try and fight back, to scramble for an excuse. She didn't. She just sat there, staring down at her hands like she had been waiting for this moment all along. After a long pause, she admitted it. She had been seeing someone else. She had been lying to me. But then she said something that caught me off guard. She said she never wanted this. I didn't believe her at first. I asked her how long it had been going on, how many times she had looked me in the eyes while secretly loving someone else. She flinched at my words, but she didn't argue. She said it wasn't about me, that it had never been about me. She told me she had spent her whole life being told who she was supposed to be. Her family had expectations that didn't include falling in love with a woman. She told me how her mother had started pressuring her the moment she got old enough to date, how her father had made it clear that the kind of love she secretly wanted was wrong. She told me she had convinced herself she could love me the way I deserved, that if she just pushed it down hard enough, ignored it long enough, it would go away, that she could be happy with me, that she could be the person that her family wanted her to be. But then she met her, and suddenly everything she had spent her life suppressing refused to stay buried. I sat there listening, watching the tears spill down her face as she admitted she had been a coward, that she should have told me the truth, that she had never meant to hurt me. But she had been so scared of losing her family, scared of being rejected, scared of having to face the truth about herself. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to hate her for what she had done. But for the first time, I saw the full picture. She hadn't just been lying to me, she'd been lying to herself. I asked her if she ever really loved me, or if I was just a shield. Something safe, something to keep up the illusion. She looked me in the eyes and told me she did love me. Maybe not in the way I thought she did, maybe not in the way I needed her to. But it had been real. And that hurt more than anything, because love should never have to be forced. We sat in silence for a long time. The weight of everything hung between us, too heavy to move past. Finally, I stood up. She looked up at me, her face streaked with tears, and I told her I couldn't do this anymore. That no matter what she was going through, she had still betrayed me. That even if I understood, even if I could see her pain, it didn't erase mine. She nodded, her shoulders shaking, her entire body looking like it was caving in on itself. I told her I hoped she figured herself out, that I hoped one day she wouldn't have to lie anymore. But I also told her that I couldn't be a part of that journey. Then I walked out, leaving behind the only woman I had ever truly loved, and for the first time since this all started, I finally felt free. I didn't look back when I walked out. No second thoughts, no hesitation, no dramatic pause in the doorway like in the movies. Just one step after another, moving forward, leaving it all behind. I had spent too much time in my own head, replaying every lie, every excuse, every moment where I convinced myself things were fine when they weren't. But now it was over. I drove for hours without a destination, just me and the open road. The city lights blurred into streaks of white and red, the radio playing some song I wasn't really hearing. I expected to feel relief, expected to feel free, but all I felt was nothing. Like my brain hadn't caught up yet, like it was still trying to make sense of everything. And then it hit me. She was never mine to begin with. Not in the way I thought she was, not in the way she tried to be. Emily had spent years trying to force herself into a life that didn't fit, trying to convince herself that if she just pushed hard enough, if she just pretended long enough, she could be the person everyone expected her to be. She thought she could erase the parts of herself that didn't align with what her family wanted. She thought she could love me enough to make it real. But love isn't something you can manufacture, and living a lie will always catch up with you. The next morning I packed my things. No screaming matches, no dramatic farewell, just a quiet, simple exit. She watched me from across the room, her eyes red, her hands shaking slightly at her sides. She didn't ask me to stay. We both knew better than that. As I reached the door, she whispered one last apology, not just for cheating, but for everything, for dragging me into her mess, for making me believe in something that had never been real. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, staring at the door handle, thinking about all the ways I could respond. Then finally I turned to her and said, "I hope you stop running from yourself." She flinched as if the truth hurt more than my anger ever could. And that was it. No more resentment, no more need for revenge. Just the quiet realization that I'd wasted enough of my life on someone who had never even allowed herself to be herself. She lost me because she was too afraid to be real. And I walked away because I finally understood that I deserved someone who was. Time has a way of softening things. A while later, I heard from a mutual friend that Emily had finally come out to her family. It wasn't easy, but she did it. She moved to a new city, started fresh, and from what I've heard, she's happy now. And so am I. I don't dwell on the past anymore. I don't wake up thinking about what happened. I met someone new, someone who loves me without hesitation, without fear, without hiding. And this time, I know it's real. Some people spend their whole lives pretending to be something they're not. They stay in relationships that don't feel right. They follow the paths their families set for them. They live half-truths, hoping one day it'll be enough. But it never is. Because at the end of the day, you can't outrun yourself, and the longer you try, the more people you'll hurt along the way. Emily learned that lesson the hard way, but in the end she found her truth. And so did I. I walked away, not in anger, not in regret, but in acceptance. And for the first time, we were both exactly where we were meant to be.